It's just come out that Sophie Gregoire-Trudeau, who is the wife of Justin, the tacky-headed tar-faced, swift-foot, two-faced Mac Daddy Trudeau, has been tested positive for coronavirus. And I mean, I don't wish things like this on people, but maybe this will be the government's wake-up call. Now that it's actually invaded their own fortress, now they're going to act seriously. Before I go any further, let me just give you my take on the coronavirus. Um, First of all, I do think that the media and all these other people are blowing it out of proportion. I do think that it is a flu. It's a flu virus. I'm not downplaying it, but it is a flu. It won't kill you. First of all, let me just say that if you are stocking up on toilet paper, you are an idiot, and I don't have any respect for you. And you need to stop doing that. There are people out there who need that stuff. Don't stock. Don't be irrational. That's what I need to tell people. Wash your hands. Don't touch a whole heap of doorknobs. Use hand sanitizer. Be clean. Things like that. But don't take unnecessary, irrational decisions. You don't need to stock up on toilet paper. And also, those masks that you see all over the place, those don't work. My dad tells me they don't work. My father, he went to one of the best universities in the world, the University of the West Indies. That's the Oxford of the Caribbean. He tells me that that's nonsense. If somebody sneezes on you or sneezes in a bus or in the subway or something and you got that mask, you're going to get that thing just as much as anybody else will. So, be sensible, be clean, but don't overreact. It is a flu. I also think, however, having said that, that coronavirus is almost like 9/11. The Chinese government may or may not have created it in a lab, just like the US government may or may not have flown those planes into the buildings, but they let it happen. They knew it was going to happen, and they let it happen because it would benefit them. It would benefit the Chinese to see those people in Hong Kong be quarantined, instead of tearing up the place every day and all this stuff. It would benefit, and I think Big Pharma was in on it too. It would benefit Big Pharma to have us all lining up, being vaccinated, taking vaccines which will make us dumber and slower physically and mentally, which can then control the population. They'll suffer a little bit of economic problems, but it's just like having surgery. You have surgery, you feel pain a little bit, a few weeks you feel much better. China will regain that in so many ways. I mean, let's say Trump loses because of this coronavirus thing, which I don't think he's gonna, because anyone with a brain would know that I think Trump has done an amazing job with this coronavirus. I don't agree with him on a lot on everything, but this I think he's done great. But let's say he lost. I mean, can you imagine how much money would China would regain? So I think the globalists, and especially China, they may not have created it, but they're benefiting from it. They're going to in the long term. But let's get back to Canada here. So now the wife of the Mac Daddy, his baby mama, has the virus. And I think Justin Trudeau also has it too. I mean, unless he doesn't touch his wife or have sex with his wife or kiss his wife. I mean, let's put it this way. If Justin does not have coronavirus and his wife does, there's something wrong with that marriage. There's something very wrong with that marriage. And many people have told me that Justin and Sophie's marriage is on the rocks because she knows that he was inappropriate with school children back in the day. I've told you guys, I got a correspondence from somebody who knew those people who said, yes, it's true. He's a pedophile. But anyway, Canada hasn't taken the coronavirus seriously. And now I say we don't need to overreact, but it is sensible, and this is not an overreaction, to limit travel from the places which are hardest hit with coronavirus. Now, China looks like it's cleaning it up, so maybe we can ease up on that and allow a few Chinese people to come in. But Europe is a hell no. Italy is a hell no. And Trump even closed off the border with EU. No Europeans can come in, and these are white folk. I had a lot of people telling me, oh, you don't want Chinese people to come to Canada. You are racist. Remember when John Tory said people are being racist because of this coronavirus? You're racist. That's when I was saying, excuse me, that's when I was saying that we need to stop travel from China. I said that. People say, oh, you're racist. Everybody was talking about racism. Racism, 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 racism. Look where that's gotten you. Look where that's gotten you. The wife of the prime minister, so-called prime minister, has coronavirus. She's not going to die. She'll be fixed. I mean, it's not something that's going to kill you unless you're super old or you're a child. I think the children should be taken away for the time being. But she's got coronavirus. Look where all that political correctness and talk about racism, look where it's gotten you. Look where it's gotten you, Canada. And I'm going to tell you this. If Canada does not get its act together within the next week or two, I promise you the border between the U.S. and Canada is going to be closed. It's going to be closed. It could be shut down. If Trump can shut down travel from Europe, he is not going to hesitate to shut down travel from Canada. What can Canada do? Canada, please. Canada! We Canucks. I mean, listen. Places like Buffalo, Detroit, Seattle rely on Canada. I'm not saying that we can do a lot of damage to America. We're not whatever, you know? This whole thing is damaging everybody, coronavirus. It's damaging everyone economically. Economy is being put on the back seat right now. It's going to damage everybody. But it's going to hurt like Niagara Falls and all these places. Niagara Falls, I think if this thing doesn't get sorted out quickly, Niagara Falls is going to have a very unpleasant season this year. A very unpleasant season. You're going to see that whole Clifton Hill is not going to function. I mean, who's going to want to, even the workers who work on Clifton Hill, handling all this money, handling money from all these international people and all this stuff. If I was a worker, and I actually did work on Clifton Hill, actually, to be honest with you, I did. Oh, yeah, I did. I worked there. A lot of great people worked there. Shout out to you guys, too. I wouldn't work there if this coronavirus thing continues. You think you couldn't pay me $14 an hour to go out there and risk my health, handling money from all these people from all over the world? Many of them probably don't wash their hands, cough in their hand, sneeze in their hand, giving me money. Are you mad? I wouldn't go to work. $14 an hour is not worth it. It's not worth it. It's really not. I'm sorry. I ain't gonna do it. So I think unless Canada were to do something, which I say, first of all, you know, they've restricted all the games and, you know, the basketball games and all this stuff. Restrict the travel. I think the border between Washington State and BC should be closed. It should be closed. Washington State is a war zone right now of coronavirus. Travel from China, I think China, for the most part, has cleaned it up. I mean, you know, they're a communist dictatorship. They rough the people up and everything like that. So it's kind of clean now. But Europe, hell no. You crazy? You all these Italians from Milan and all this stuff coming here and all this thing like that. So no, it's not racism. You see, little white folk in Europe have coronavirus and Trump shut them away. White people, Italians and the French and the Germans, white folk being treated like Mexicans, you know? So it's not racism. It's about common sense. And as I said, we don't need to overreact, you know, in certain ways. Like, I think that, you know, all these politicians banning their campaign and stuff, that's a little bit of an overreact. Certain businesses just closing down like that, overreaction. But to restrict the movement of people from an infected region to your area, that makes sense. I mean, that makes sense. By the time the flu is here, I mean, Really, you can't just be restricting. People aren't going to just stay in the, turning cities into ghost towns like that. You can't do that. You can't do that because people are going to get sick, and I don't think it's something that you're going to die from. It's not something that you're going to die from. It's a flu. It's a flu. It's a very bad flu, which medicine is not going to do so well with. It'll stay in your system for about 14 days, and then it'll disappear, providing you haven't died from it. Old people and young people may die. They're at a higher risk to die. But it stays in your system for 14 days, and then it disappears. Disappears. It's gone. It's a flu. It's my dad, saying this stuff. My dad, it's not me just saying, it's just medical. It's just something that will stay in you for about 14, 15 days. It's a virus. It'll come out. And you're fixed. You're fixed. I mean, people have died from it. Many people who, diabetics and people who are already sick who really shouldn't be sick. And old people, babies whose immune system isn't as good. Those people are at risk, yes. But someone like me or some healthy young people, middle-aged individuals, you're not going to necessarily die. Sophie Trudeau isn't going to die. Tom Hanks isn't going to die. Ted Cruz isn't going to die. All these people, famous, powerful people they're not dying. Now, if the Queen had coronavirus, you'd be careful with her. Prince Philip or someone like that, yeah, you'd be careful. If Archie had coronavirus, you'd be careful. But yeah, it's not something that's going to kill you. It's not the end of the world. Don't stock up on toilet paper and all this stuff. But keep your babies safe. Keep your elderly safe. And as for the government, they need to stop this at the source, And instead of encouraging people to think that, this is because of bats or bat soup or stuff like that, that's a load of nonsense. That bat soup is responsible for this. What does make a little bit more sense is the fact that there are a lot of markets in China which, have live animals in the markets so close together, breathing the same air and confined in one space, and people buy it and all this stuff and handle it, and they get sick, and that's how viruses, that makes sense. And, speaking of all that stuff, this is a perfect example of how globalism can be harmful, If a dirty, stinking, let's say that this is true, and a dirty, stinking market in China can affect the whole world. What does that say about globalism? But anyway, I think it's necessary that schools are being suspended for 30 days in Ontario. I think that they should start stopping travel from Europe and China for a few weeks, 30 days, so that this thing can stop spreading. Close the border between Vancouver and BC, because Vancouver and Washington State, or BC and Washington State has a lot of coronavirus right now. And eventually this virus will wear itself out and become a real regular flu virus. Don't take unnecessary actions with stacking up on toilet paper. That's stupid. In fact, I think that there should be legislation right now because of all the stupid people in the world that you should be rationed of toilet paper. I mean, it's like you have to treat people like kids now. But anyway. And also those surgery masks really don't work. They offer a false sense of security. Wash your hands. Cover your mouth. Wash them again. When you're opening doors, use your sleeve. Things like that will protect you. You can go out and, mingle and have fun. I mean, provided you're not in a really bad area, like Italy or Washington State, but just be cautious. Clean your hands. Don't touch every little thing with your bare hands. Those type of things will keep you physically well. And this is the Arana coronavirus-free nation.